What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. I'm still getting over a bit of a cold, so sorry if I sound a bit off, but let's just go ahead and get into questions with Josh Lowe, who asks why Holdo didn't share her plan with Poe, especially given that Pablo Hidalgo on Twitter said that admirals don't need to share their plans with captains. I think that's a totally valid point. Actually, I was talking to some of my friends who have military experience, and they were furious that Poe was so insubordinate. That said, it is kind of a pet peeve of mine when plots involve just a breakdown in communication. That usually happens in like romantic comedies where in the third act, some contrived misunderstanding will cause the two main characters to drift apart because they didn't just talk about it clearly. But this is kind of the same thing. There were only 400 members of the Resistance left. I kind of think it would have been nice for Holdo to say, hey, here's what's going on. But since I try to make sense of the things in Star Wars like this is what I came up with. I think that when Poe first asks her what the plan is, she might not have had one. It was just after she took command, so they might have still been figuring out what was going on. So she just told him, hey, stay at your post, follow orders, because that's what he's supposed to do. He only asks her one other time, and when he does, she kind of calms him down, and it looks like she might be about to tell him what's happening, and then he sees that she's fueling up the transports, and he flips out and he's throwing things. Like, you can't have that on the bridge. Like, she had to remove him from her command deck, and that makes total sense to me. So, yeah, I do find it a little bit frustrating that so much of the plot was due to a breakdown in communication, but I also do see Holdo's side of things, and I think that Poe way overreacted when he didn't find out what he wanted to know. I think if he just showed a little bit of patience, he would have eventually gotten the answers that he wanted. Michael Bentley wants to know why the novelization for The Last Jedi isn't coming out until March, when the novelizations for The Force Awakens and Rogue One came out, I think, on the same day as the film's release. My theory here is that they're going to use that extra time to address some of the more confusing aspects of The Last Jedi. Maybe they will address the Poe-Holdo situation and give her some extra rationalization or inner monologue. There are a lot of people that still seem to think that Snoke is alive, so I would love to have a line in there that states that he is definitively dead and gone. Flaming Whiskers asks if there are any other characters in canon that are crazy strong in the Force despite having no real formal training. I would say that Luke and Anakin are pretty accurate examples of that. Anakin kind of gets a pass because he was born purely of the Force, but Luke, I mean, he got like one lesson from Obi-Wan, and then he's able to use the Force to destroy the Death Star. He got a little extra training from Yoda, and he's even more powerful. Again, he has Skywalker blood, but to me, they aren't all that different from Rey. This isn't really a new thing. Some people are just naturally very powerful in the Force. Also, people seem to forget that she had combat training before she ever picked up a lightsaber. She knows how to wield a staff. She was training with it on Octo before she used the lightsaber. She knows what she's doing. She had to fight on Jakku, so it's not like in The Force Awakens and now The Last Jedi, this was the first time she ever fought anybody. Marco Atzeri wants to know why Darth Vader in A New Hope discloses that his former master was Obi-Wan Kenobi, which kinda gives away his identity, in the presence of two guards on the Death Star. I never really got the impression that the Empire was trying super hard to hide Darth Vader's true identity. I mean, I don't think they made a public announcement like, this is Darth Vader and he used to be Anakin Skywalker, but it also wasn't the end of the world if anyone found that out. Dason Flores asks why the new trilogy is seemingly avoiding putting any classic aliens in the films. Why haven't we seen any Twi'leks at Canto Bight, for example? Now, I would be fully on board with some Twi'leks or Ithorians popping up at Canto Bight. That would have been the perfect place for it. But I don't really see it so much as Lucasfilm is trying to avoid putting those old creatures in there. I think it's more that the creature designers find it more interesting to make new aliens. Now, that's not to say they can't mix and match, but to say that they are straight up avoiding it, I think is going a little far. I think it's just that they would prefer to make something new than just keep pushing out the same old stuff. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where I left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to extra Star Wars Explained goodies like audio commentaries for the films or roles on my Discord server, and the combined donations really go a long way in supporting the channel. On to YouTube questions. A droid walks into a bar, asks how the First Order got their walkers from the Supremacy to the ground on Crate. I think they probably used some of those dropship-looking things that you can see in some of the interior shots of the Supremacy. It's got to be something similar to what the Galactic Empire used at Hoth, just using Gazanti-class freighters to bring in their walkers. Nelkir's Son von Balgroove wants to know if humans were the most abundant species in the galaxy. I have to assume so because they are the most common species that we ever see in any movie or Star Wars story, period. William asks if we'll see the 20th century fanfare return to Star Wars films now that Disney has purchased Fox. I kinda doubt it. I think Disney wants Star Wars to be known as solely a Disney property now. It is possible. I wouldn't mind having it back, but it's also something that I don't exactly miss, so I could go either way on it. The Salvo wants to know where Luke's metal hand went when he became one with the Force at the end of The Last Jedi. I think it just disappeared with him. I mean, in A New Hope, all that's left of Obi-Wan when he becomes one with the Force are his outer robes and his lightsaber. Most of his clothing disappeared with him, so I would think that even though it's a prosthetic, non-organic hand, it's still been a part of him for a very long time, so I am perfectly fine with the idea that it just disappeared along with him. Ian Whitford asks if Kylo Ren outsmarted Snoke. Did Snoke misinterpret Kylo's intentions when he was turning the lightsaber, and did his hubris get him killed? Yes, I think that's exactly what happened. I've seen other YouTube channels claim that Anakin's lightsaber was the only lightsaber that was spinning, and that Snoke saw that and saw his intentions the entire time, but that's just outright false. I actually just saw the movie yesterday, and I paid very careful attention to that, and Kylo Ren is turning his lightsaber towards Rey at the exact same time. So, yeah, Snoke just was overconfident, he misinterpreted things, and it got him killed, and now he's dead. Yet we're still seeing Snoke lives theories popping up left and right, and you can look forward to my Theory Buster video on all of them coming next week. That's all the time I have for questions this week. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below, or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, thanks for watching, may the Force be with you, and have a very happy New Year.